What is going on, Nuggets Nation, NBA fans? My name is Tom Leuthner. Welcome back into Nuggets Today, presented by Fan Arch. We do have some things to cover, obviously, and the first thing I want to cover is somebody who's been brought up a good amount so far in the last couple episodes, and that is Peyton Watson. Now, the reason I'm talking about Peyton Watson is because reports came out about Peyton Watson working out this offseason, and the report was that his shooting is supposed to greatly improve into next season. Supposedly, he does have a quicker release, and he lost the arch in his shot, which could be a massive factor if he's able to get shots off quicker. Now, like I've continued to say, I think that he needs to finish around the rim more as well because he is a lengthy body. He is considered one of the best defenders on Denver's team at the moment on the current roster. I do think that he could be a massive factor for the bench of this rotation. And I think that he has the most to prove when it comes to wanting an extension or wanting a contract, not only for Denver, but another NBA team. There's a lot of guys in the offseason so far that haven't gotten contracts, especially younger guys who could and should be on rosters that are not because teams don't think they're valuable. Now, Watson may be a guy whose stats are inflated by playing around Jokic because Jokic is able to make just about anybody look good, and that could be a true factor into his game. But I do think that he has the potential to be a Derrick Jones Jr. caliber player for Denver, and I think that could be a massive factor. Like I said, for Denver's bench, I think that he has the potential to be a guy who can score at almost every level. He could shoot the three ball pretty efficiently if his shot is is improved like they're saying it's going to be. He could finish around the rim, which is something that he needs to work on. And he's a good defender. He's lengthy. He can guard the 1 through 4, maybe even a smaller 5 if you need him to. He's a smaller body, very thin frame when it comes to playing the power forward. But I think the addition of getting Deron Holmes back and the addition of Val lets him play the small forward. And he will be able to get minutes at the small forward and the power forward. So I think that, like I said, it could be a massive year for Peyton Watson if he is able to fix his jump shot a little bit more, if he is able to finish around the rim a little bit more. And I think he plays a massive factor into Denver's offense. If he's not able to, I think in the beginning of the year, you'll probably see a decrease in his minutes, and you'll see an increase in minutes of guys like Tim Hardaway Jr., Bruce Brown, Julian Strawther, if he's able to do the same kind of thing. And Watson may fall out of the rotation. Maybe not fully, full time. Maybe he'll be in defensive rotations or hustle rotations, but I don't think that if he doesn't improve, not drastically, but a pretty good amount, then you'll probably see him fall out of the rotation. Now, another power forward center combo I want to talk about is Kevin Love. Now, the sources are that he will be bought out from the Utah Jazz, by the Utah Jazz, and will be able to seek a contract from an NBA contender, like a playoff contender, a finals contender. And I was thinking about it, and if Val wasn't in the picture, I would have loved Kevin Love as a potential bench center next to a guy like Deron Holmes, but I don't see Denver actually bring him in. But I did want to talk about it because if they did bring him in, which like I said, I don't think they will because he's not really a necessity for Denver's last bench spot, and they may leave that open, and that's something I'm going to get to in a little while here. But if they did bring him in, I think he could be a massive mentor. People don't realize how good Kevin Love was in his prime. He was a monster on the glass. He was a fantastic passer, and the guy could shoot the three ball, which was something that wasn't unheard of at the time, but wasn't very likely for a center or power forward center combo to step out to the 3-point line and knock down threes so efficiently. And Kevin Love was one of the first guys in the 2000s that we saw do that at such a great rate. He was a monster, and obviously he dealt with his own injuries and was able to take a backseat role. So if Denver was able to bring him in as a mentor to a guy like Deron Holmes or a guy like Peyton Watson and really talk to them about what their role should be as a younger player right now that you'd have to take a back seat because they're not as good as Kevin Love once was, I think that could be good. I think that could be good from a mentality standpoint. Basically saying to a guy like Peyton Watson, hey, listen, you're not the number one option. You're playing around guys like Jokic, Jamal, who are going to take majority of the shots. He did it with Kyrie and LeBron. So you have to take the backseat role, and you have to emphasize that role to the max potential you can, where you're actually making a difference off the ball. Maybe it's defensively. Maybe it's hustling for a long rebound. But again, I think Kevin Love could be a good mentor for other players, but I wouldn't say that he's going to be a factor for Denver. I don't think that Denver really looks to bring him in. I wouldn't mind Kevin Love in a year if he retires on the coaching staff. I think that the Jared Dudley and JJ Barea additions are fantastic, and I think that with his IQ, he could be massive for the coaching staff if that's something that he wants to do in a year where he's able to work with a guy like Cam Johnson, who has a very good IQ, and sort of make him take the next jump in his career, even though he is a little bit older. Talking about Cam Johnson, there is another comparison, because that's, I feel like, something that we've continued to do throughout the last couple of weeks, and that is another Cam Johnson and MPJ comparison, and it is the true shooting percentages from majority of places on the court, and I want to talk about it because it intrigued me to really read through it and think about it and put my own thoughts into it. Now, when it comes to the left corner, MPJ's true shooting percentage was 40.7%. Cam's was 54.8%, or sorry, other way around. MPJ was 54.8%, Cam was 40.7%. If you look at the top of the key, MPJ's was 38.5%, Cam's was 37.8%. That right corner, MPJ was at 46.9, Cam was at 46.2. So around the 3-point line, MPJ was better from every single spot at the 3-point line. You look at inside, right under the top of the key to step in, MPJ's at 40.7, Cam is at 41.8, so he is a better mid-range scorer from that exact position. Then you look at right around the free throw line at the beginning of the paint, MPJ's at 48.9, Cam's at 46.7, and then right under the basket, MPJ's at 73.9, Cam is at 71.4. Now, I looked at it at first, and I immediately thought to myself, was it a mistake to get rid of a guy like MPJ for a guy like Cam, because MPJ splits were way better when it came to the percentages. But then I thought about, the positions they were in and how, like I just covered before, how good Cam's IQ is. And the fact that MPJ played around a guy like Jokic and Cam was in a position where he needed to go out and attempt to score because there's nothing else he could really do, because it was either him taking the shot or a guy like Cam Thomas taking the shot. So I am truly, I'm truly ecstatic to see what Cam is able to do with a guy like Jokic, a guy setting him up, a guy making him look that good. MPJ is probably going to go in, throw up as many shots as he can, and you'll probably see his stats drop the same way you saw Cam's. But I think around a guy like, Jamal Murray and a guy like Nikola Jokic, Cam is going to thrive. I think that you see his percentages go up because Jokic is going to be in the post, kick it out to him. He's going to get wide open opportunities, which is something that he did not see much of in Brooklyn. So I'm actually excited rather than nervous about that take. Now, my last thing here is my own take, and this is just quick. This is in a perfect world scenario. A guy that is a free agent right now, who I don't think should be a free agent, in my opinion, is Cody Martin. In a perfect world, Denver brings in Cody Martin with the last roster spot they have now. They combine Najee and Hunter Tyson's contracts together. They trade for an older guy that a team may not want, and they're able to open up another roster spot. And you have a semi-decent vet. You have Cody Martin on a smaller contract. You get rid of two guys who aren't going to play, and you still have a roster spot open. Now, is that realistic? Probably not. If Denver's able to bring in Cody Martin and not do anything else, that's fine by me. Another guy who's going to give the second and third unit a break when it comes to playing the 2 through 4. I think he could be another good player around Jokic. He's a guy who can come in if there are injuries, that could step up and take that starting role if needed, because he was starting in other situations. So I think that he's a good player if Denver wants to sign him, and he'll take a smaller contract to come in and play around 7 minutes per game if that is even needed by Denver. Anyway, that is all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. If you guys want me to cover anything, please let me know down below, and I'll catch you guys next episode.